Greetings everyone, my name is Dominic and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And today on the channel I wanted to go ahead and introduce a brand new segment. We're going to go ahead and do a month-end wrap-up video, and what exactly is that going to look like? Primarily it's going to be me talking about recent reads or currently reading books that just really stood out for me this month. I thought this would be a cool way to kind of bookmark things I enjoyed in the month, while also teasing just a little bit what might be reviewed in the future on this channel. And if I enjoy this segment and you enjoy this segment, you might see it more frequently on the channel, and if not, well, at least this was a fun experiment. Now, before we jump into this month-end wrap-up for August 2025, I did want to shout out our channel sponsor, Panel Bound Comics. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, perhaps some of the books on this very video, I always encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link to them in the video's description, and if you see anything there on that website you like, you can even use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to save $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support this channel. Thank you so much for considering. Now let's go ahead and start our wrap-up. First on the list today, in no particular order, we have Absolute Batman Volume 1 The Zoo by Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta from DC Comics. This is the premiere volume kicking off the Absolute Batman run. This is of course in a separate universe to the mainstream Batman books they have going on. But with Scott Snyder returning to a Batman book, I was interested from moment one I heard about this, and I was eagerly awaiting this collected edition. They released it in both this standard size hardcover and a trade paperback simultaneously, hoping to appease both paperback and hardcover fans out there. As you can see, I did opt for the hardcover edition, and I have no regrets. Now, I did read this in the month of August, and I have actually already reviewed it on the channel, so if you missed out on my review, I highly encourage you to check it out. As far as what you can expect from Absolute Batman, kind of similar to what they're doing in the Marvel Ultimate Universe, this is its own separate universe, separate continuity. It has its own brand new origin story, so you can really just jump right into Absolute Batman without having to read anything else and enjoy the story. I'm also happy to report that this first collection has its own first complete arc, so you do get a beginning, middle, and end to the central conflicts introduced in this book, and there's enough kind of dangling threads for further and future storytelling. I really like that because, again, I think that this is a perfect place for new readers to check out something fun, get a complete story, and then decide if they want to read more as more collections are released. Again, I really enjoyed this one. This was on my to-read wish list for a long time, again, just waiting for the collection to drop, and I had no regrets. The art from Nick Dragotta throughout it was absolutely spectacular for me, and this feels like potentially a modern classic. I don't know if that's too far to say at this point, but I was really impressed by it. I really like that it refreshed the origin and that this Bruce Wayne is decidedly different. I was kept on my toes and I am eager to see what's ahead in the world of Absolute Batman. Don't miss out. I know it was definitely a highlight of my reading month. Next on my list today is Powers Volume 1 by Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Avon Oeming. And this is the paperback Volume 1 collection that was published by Dark Horse. I really loved making my way through this. As many of you know, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, I am a huge fan of Brian Michael Bendis, just as a general rule, and I've always heard about this series, but I never really made an opportunity to venture into it myself. Well, I'm happy to say all that has changed this month. I read this volume, and I am absolutely hooked. In fact, I'm currently reading Volume 2 as well. This is a really fun kind of crime detective kind of series that happens to focus on a world where there are superheroes and superhero-based crime. There's a lot of great central mystery and character backstory that is slowly unraveled. I really love the characterization here. Bendis' trademark dialogue is on full display. I love that we get to see why he is so great at crime writing while also having the flares and flashes and trappings of a superhero comic. It just really works well. I think for people that are fans of stuff like Gotham Central, this is a must-read, a fantastic earlier Bendis piece here. I can't wait to read the rest of the series. I don't know if I have reviewed this. By the time I release this wrap-up video, I don't think I will have released my review of it, but if you're interested to see my thoughts on Powers, stay tuned to the channel because a review is forthcoming. And the art throughout this as well by Michael Avon Oeming is incredible. I was introduced to his artwork when I recently reviewed Blue Book by him and James Tynion IV over at also Dark Horse, but the art we have here I might even like better than what I saw in Blue Book, and that is saying something. I would be curious in the comments as well, do we have any Powers fans out there? What can you tell me about the rest of the run? Again, lighter on spoilers. Is it worth reading and investing in? Because so far I'm hooked. Easily one of the standout reads for me in the month of August. Okay, moving right along, we have our first Omnibus edition on this list. We're going to be talking about Strange Academy from Marvel Comics. This was, of course, written by Scotty Young with art from Humberto Ramos. Now, I did review this on the channel earlier this month, but wow, what a highlight read this was for me. I was introduced to Scotty Young as an artist primarily, but seeing him write as well, I'm really impressed by what he's doing here. And pairing him up with Humberto Ramos just feels like a masterstroke. There is something kind of cartoony or animated with the illustration style of Ramos throughout this that absolutely serves the overall tone and vibe that Scotty Young brings to the writing, and it just works so well in tandem. This series is set at a kind of magical school. Think X-Men meets Harry Potter, and you're really not all that far off. It draws in kind of the mystical, magical side of the Marvel Universe and introduces us to a brand new slew of younger characters, some of which have ties to some of the Marvel villains, ? You'll have to read for yourself, but wow, was this a really surprising and just thoroughly enjoyable read. I liked the kind of high school drama aspect to it, I loved the art, and I found that some of the conflicts and storylines were really kind of intricate and layered in ways that I just dug. I think the shining beacon of this whole run for me is the art first, followed by the characterization. I got so invested in this group of characters that after I finished this book, I am just chomping at the bit for a sequel or a year 2 coming out. I know that they have Doom Academy that they've done where they've dabbled in the sandbox with some of these characters, but honestly, I'm hoping that Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos return to this franchise sometime in the future because I just really like the formula they have going here, and I'm elated to see it here in this omnibus format. Again, I did do a full review of this title earlier in the month, so if you'd like to catch it, you can definitely find it on the channel. But yeah, easily one of my favorite reads this last little bit here, and it was just purely surprising, purely entertaining, and yeah, just had a really fun time here with Strange Academy. Okay, next on this list might surprise some people. This is Stargazer from Mad Cave Studios. I have it collected here in a trade paperback. The people at Mad Cave were kind enough to send me this review copy. I will admit I went into this book fairly blind. I had someone kind of pitch it to me as kind of a Stranger Things alien story, kind of. And while I don't know if that's the most apt description, I will say I had fun with this little paperback. This is a self-contained, standalone series that involves an alien abduction encounter and what ramifications that had decades later on a friend group as they come to terms with their past trauma and try to deal with what's going on in the present. I think for fans of, again, alien invasion narratives or kind of sci-fi devices, coming-of-age stories as well, gripping, dynamic, stylized artwork, if that's kind of your flavor or bend, I can definitely recommend Stargazer. This is another one I could see being on a future listing of mine that's maybe a hidden gems kind of list because I haven't heard a lot of people speak to this, and I honestly had a blast going through it. It's on my shortlist reads for the month, and that's why I wanted to showcase it in this wrap-up video. I don't know if I've done the review yet on the channel either for this by the time I release the wrap-up, and this is another one, again, if you're interested, stay tuned on the channel as a full review is forthcoming. I also like to do this because I don't want to just review omnibuses, I also like reviewing these smaller collections, especially things like this that might be a little bit off the beaten path, but are still a ton of fun to make my way through. Again, the art in this collection too, I just love the stylization here. I think it does a pretty solid job on the character work as well. You never feel quite sure-footed as you're reading this. It always kind of keeps you a bit off balance, feels a bit surrealistic and dreamlike in a way, and I love that. I just feel like the art so matches the tone and general story, and again, it was just a very, very fun ride. I love that it was self-contained, quick, easy, beginning, end, one and done. Don't miss out on Stargazer. And hey, if you're enjoying this video and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I would just like to invite you to do so. I'm always doing comic book list videos, unboxings, reviews, and much more. Thank you so much for considering. Now on with the show. Okay, keeping this wrap-up video going for the month of August 2025, we have another one of my every so often nightly readers. This is the Agent Venom Omnibus by Rick Remender, Cullen Bunn, and more from Marvel Comics. I believe I did an unboxing video for this omnibus already on the channel, and rest assured I am still making my way through it, but it is a massive book. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to finish it out, but I am, again, still incrementally going through the run, and I am really enjoying it overall. This, of course, follows Agent Venom, so we don't have the Venom host being Eddie Brock as it often is. No, there's a different host here. I don't want to spoil too much, but we have this kind of super soldier mission-based premise for the Venom symbiote in this run, and that definitely takes it in a decidedly different direction. A lot of the artists we have kind of attracted to this run as well are really dynamic and interesting. The way they all handle the character of Venom, especially in these combat scenarios, I find to be really visually striking. I think having a main central host that's different than Eddie Brock as well. I got to see a lot of different narrative avenues with the character of Venom I never got to encounter before. I think also how he plays with others within the Marvel Universe, some of the darker, edgy kind of vigilante characters like Ghost Rider or X-23 and more. I found it to be really entertaining and different. This is a run I've always wanted to explore more extensively. I did have one of the modern epic collections not too long ago before upgrading to this, so I have dabbled in this world a little, but now I'll be able to do it much more extensively as I continue my journey through the Agent Venom Omnibus. Again, this wrap-up video, I want it to be things that I'm not only finishing reading, but I'm currently going through, or things that have caught my eye or that I'm spending time with in a given month. Because while I do read a lot and then churn out content here for all of you, sometimes I don't always review what I'm reading, or it takes a while to actually get finished, and I thought that this wrap-up would be a great way to just showcase books I'm actively going through and want to talk about a bit more extensively. And again, to that end, this book has been making the rounds for me personally, and I just wanted to talk about Agent Venom. Next on my list is another Marvel Omnibus. This is the Symbiote Spider-Man Omnibus by Peter David, Greg Land, and more. Now, this omnibus was just recently released, and I was really happy to pick up this Spider-Man omnibus. I ended up pre-ordering it. I had read the first miniseries included in this collection some time ago. I did review that on the channel. But let me back up and talk about this omnibus just as a bird's eye overview. Essentially, this collects a sequence of miniseries Peter David had been writing prior to his unfortunate passing this last year. But basically we have, I believe, 5 miniseries and maybe a one-shot included here, and they mostly take place during the era in which Peter Parker was wearing the black symbiote costume, but before he realized it was sentient, alive, malevolent, and ultimately becomes Venom. And so these are all kind of these little interludes that are forgotten by Peter, or he wasn't aware of them, and they're moments where the symbiote kind of rears its ugly head. I thought that this was a really novel approach to a Spider-Man series, and I like that they went for the miniseries route over an ongoing series. It kept a lot of the reading here very fresh and kind of self-contained in many ways. While not every miniseries hit as much as others for me, I was really drawn in by the dynamic artwork and just the time capsule-like feel here. This was such a unique point in time and for the history of Peter Parker Spider-Man as a character, and to have more narrative explored that's supposed to be set in this period largely, I just thought that was a really novel approach. I'm also just generally a big fan of the works of Peter David, so again, I was really eager to check this out. I did like reading the first miniseries that I had in paperback a couple years back, and I was happy to finish this out. I actually, at the time of this recording, I did just finish this, I think a day or two ago, video, maybe a little longer. But again, really enjoyed it overall, and I do plan to do a full review on the channel in the next couple weeks. So if this has been an omnibus you've been curious about or eyeballing and you'd like to hear more of my thoughts, definitely stay tuned because the review is forthcoming as well. Definitely a very, very fun aspect of my August reading. Next up on my August wrap-up, I have another trade paperback, also from Mad Cave Studios. This is Nottingham Volume 2, A King's Ransom. So, pretty recently on the channel, I did release my Volume 1 review of Nottingham. This is roughly a 3-volume series that has a kind of 4th volume that's sort of short stories within the Nottingham universe. So you can find a lot of these paperbacks still from Mad Cave Studios, and this was a series I've kind of been curious about. It essentially tells you the story of the Robin Hood, Sheriff of Nottingham rivalry, but it flips who the hero is. It kind of remixes that whole mythos. It has some gritty realism to it. It's certainly explicitly violent in many ways, and the artwork is really just in some ways garish yet really beautiful. I don't know how to say it. It's very stylized and gripping and interesting. I really enjoyed the first collection, and I was eager to make my way through the rest of the series. So I really got my way through Volume 2 in this month of August, and I've actually gone along and read the rest of the series. So I will start trickling out more Nottingham reviews in the future. I know when I released the review of the first volume, I had a couple people commenting about how they liked that series, so I am eager to talk about it more. Overall, I had a ton of fun reading Nottingham. I think it's one of the strongest things I've read from Mad Cave, and I am a fan of Mad Cave Studios. If you haven't checked out Nottingham, but you like the story of Robin Hood or things of this kind, I would definitely encourage you to check it out. Again, I have the first review already on the channel, and the review for this very volume should come out, again, probably in the next couple weeks. I know I've said that sort of ad nauseum, but again, this is my wrap-up video of stuff that I've been really eager about or currently reading or have just finished, so I thought this would be another fun tease for something that might be coming down on the channel, again, just in the next couple weeks. But yeah, really, really like it. This art is one of a kind to me. There's something in the garishness of the character models that I find so striking. The detail work is unrivaled, and there's just something that really sells me on the grit and griminess of this world. It just feels really lived in and weathered, and it just fits the tone of the work marvelously. And last, but certainly not least, we have the all-new X-Men Omnibus by Brian Michael Bendis. So I haven't had an opportunity to go at length through this run yet. I am still actively reading this almost every night, and I am loving it. Admittedly, I am, again, a big fan of Brian Michael Bendis, and I do love the X-Men. And secretly, this has always been a run I have wanted to check out. Over the years, I've heard mixed reviews, but I always loved the kind of time travel concept of it, and I was just waiting for a chance to get it all. I was hoping for an omnibus one day. I was never sure if I was going to get it. When Marvel announced that they were doing this, I pre-ordered, and I couldn't wait for them to release it. In fact, this was probably my most anticipated release of the year, and the fact that I'm now maybe almost halfway through it and I am loving it this much, I just cannot believe what a dream it's been. I can't wait to talk about it more extensively, but again, I am still making my way through. I also know Bendis did a run on Uncanny X-Men that was kind of a companion series to this, and I think that's getting an omnibus release in like November of this year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to save up to pre-order that one as well, and I hope if it's anywhere as good as this, I'm gonna just be glued in from beginning all the way to the end. For those that don't know, the basic setup for this series is that the modern day or present moment Cyclops, Scott Summers, is making choices that a lot of his teammates feel are uncharacteristic or that he's compromised his beliefs. And Beast, one of the original X-Men, kind of says if his younger, or no, he hears it from Iceman, I don't know. Someone says if younger Scott could see himself now, he'd be ashamed. And Beast has this idea to take the original X-Men team out of their past and into the present to confront the present-day Scott Summers. Well, he does that, but things go a little bit awry, and the team is trapped in the present. And these are the younger versions of themselves that have only been the X-Men team for really not a long amount of time. I really love this kind of back to the future quality of it all, and overall, again, this has been an absolute dream to read. My highlight of August, absolutely, and I thought a sufficient way to begin wrapping up, well, the wrap-up video. Definitely let me know if you're also reading the all-new X-Men Omnibus. Okay, and with that, I am beginning to close out my first month-end wrap-up video. Again, this is a newer segment on the channel. Obviously, it looks like a lot of my other list videos, but I try to focus it around books I'm actively reading or have just completed in the month, and books I want to talk about more extensively. I'm doing this for all of you to get a sampling of what I'm going through in the month, but also to remind myself in the future, what was I doing that month? It's not just about these contents I'm creating and dropping for all of you, but what was I actually reading? What was I actually enjoying at the time? And to that end, I really hope you've enjoyed this little segment. I would really appreciate your honest feedback, as I want to see if this is a segment I'd like to develop further in the months ahead. I honestly had a blast putting it together for all of you, but as always, I would like to know what you think. I'd also love to hear, what would you put in your month-end wrap-up? What have been some of your favorite comic book reads, or things that you've currently finished reading or want to talk about more? I'd love to hear all that. I think it's a great way to get recommendations when I hear what you're all reading, and other people can chime in as well. So thank you for considering that. And lastly, let me know if you've read anything in this wrap-up video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the works I've talked about today. And I think that's all. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to leave that like, those comments I talked about, and maybe share this video with a friend. Thanks everyone. Bye.